Myself with contact if the world is that's what I remember of next thing is that you touch it, it's automatically done.
Alright, we're gonna get started. So start to wrap up any conversations. Today's lecture will be pretty fast, but it'll be a lot of fun, and you guys will really enjoy NumPy, but it's also pronounced NumPy. You were asking me, we're gonna do pandas in 2 weeks. Yeah. Cool. We'll start with announcements. Homework 5 was due today. Homework 6 will be released and will be due next week. And project proposal coming up April 1st. And just a reminder, you need to meet with like your mentor at least once. So you guys have like 2 to 3 weeks to do that because we have spring break. And yeah, does anyone have any questions about these deadlines? Cool. Then let's start talking about NumPy, which stands for numerical Python. And basically, it is a package that you can import at the beginning of your code, and it will basically give you access to like a bunch of really cool things that we're going to talk about today. Cool. So there's a few ways you can get NumPy in your system / like wherever you're coding. One way is you can go into Anaconda or your terminal and then do pip install or conda install. Or you can just like in Jupyter, you could just put import NumPy as NP at the top, and we'll do that together in case anyone has trouble with it. When you're doing it in Jupyter, I usually don't have trouble with NumPy in Jupyter, but when you're doing it in VS Code, it's like weird. But from this point on, we'll be shifting into Jupyter Notebook. But if you have questions about getting NumPy in your VS Code, just come to office hours or like talk to one of us. So why NumPy? Like I feel like covered like a good amount of stuff in this class. Like we have lists, we have dictionaries, like what does NumPy have to offer? And basically TLDR is that it's going to do a lot of math for you, and it's like a really good way of just like sifting through a bunch of data. And it's also just like a really neat and organized way, whereas like lists are kind of they get complicated really fast, whereas NumPy lets you keep it like together in an organized way. And that will make more sense as I go through examples. But does anyone have any other questions there? Okay, cool. So we're going to start by talking about my favorite part in NumPy, which is NumPy arrays. And if you want to define an NP array, you can just say np.array, and then you can put whatever values inside these brackets that you want. And it's, again, like it literally is just a list, but it's so much more at the same time. And we're going to talk more about what it can do. And again, with a large data sets, if you guys ever do research and stuff, you'll literally like be abusing NP arrays, and also just like bless you, operative coursework, and also like in lab work. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's look at this example. Over here, you have 2 normal lists that are not NP arrays being defined, and when we add them, we get 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6, which makes sense because we're basically just concatenating the 2 lists that you've defined, and you can't really subtract because like you can't eliminate a list. So, but with NumPy, we can do those operations where same operations with an NP array, and it will actually add the first index the 0th index of list A and the 0th index of list B to get 1 plus 2, and you get 3. And 2 plus 4, you get 6, and 2 plus 6, you get 9. And same thing, now you can also subtract. And naturally, if you can add and subtract, then you can also multiply and divide. Does anyone have any questions so far? about this? Okay, cool. Yeah, and other than that, it still holds like the same qualities of a list. Like, for example, indexing, you want to access indices. Let's do like more, let's like kind of play around with it. So, can I open one? So if you guys want to follow along, feel free to. And yeah, so I'm just gonna like enter Python 3 in the interactive terminal. And the first thing I'm gonna do is import NumPy as NP. Can everyone see this okay? Go in the back. See if it works. Whoa. Okay, cool. Let me just make sure. Cool. So what I just did is I imported the entire NumPy library and I put it in the alias NP. And if you get like an error and stuff, raise your hand if you're getting an error when this happens. Okay, yeah. If you get an error, exit out of the terminal and then do pip install NumPy. It should already be installed for me, but for you guys, it'll probably do something. Yeah, so for me, it says that it's already satisfied, but if you ran into an error doing this line and you don't, and you're getting this, then raise your hand. Okay. Cool. I'm going to. Oh, does anyone need this still? Okay.
Mine just says pip command not found.
Are you doing an Anaconda or?
I'm doing it in Git.
Okay, move into your terminal, like your Windows, like it should be looking like, oh yeah, PowerShell. And no, if you're not able to follow along, like don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it at all. But if you want to follow along and you're having trouble, raise your hand. But yeah, what's your question? Question over there?
Oh. I'm just getting invalid syntax.
Invalid syntax for pip install Python. Okay. Okay, let me just look at it. Yeah, because so this is going to go over here in the terminal. Try to determine the same. So PowerShell EOW. And then you type on read. Or actually, before you do that, you can install it.
I think I'm having probably similar results.
Oh yeah. If you're getting errors, we can talk about it later, but you can just watch for this part of the demo. But yeah, don't worry, you'll be still able to use NumPy. It's just being probably annoying with terminal. But yeah, if you can't follow along, just pay attention. Cool. So we're gonna start by defining an NP array. And again, the syntax to do that is writing NP, which is like our alias dot array parentheses brackets. And then you can like write whatever, like your life story or whatever list you want to put in here. And I can now index into it. I can multiply my entire NumPy array by 2 to get, like basically it'll just multiply every element in my array by 2. I can even divide it by 2. And just as a reminder, it's going to divide these values because I didn't reassign NP array to this array. So we're gonna hopefully get 0.5 and 1. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions? If you can't follow along, any questions that aren't about like not being able to write it? Are you getting the pip? Are you getting an error with pip? Yeah. I'll get it in a bit. But yeah, I'm just kind of like quickly showing you guys so you can understand that I'm not just making this information up about NumPy, but with Jupyter Notebook, you guys should be able to do it. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the slide. Yeah, so you can even, just like how we learned, you can kind of go through your list. So what, can anyone explain to me why I'm getting 20 and 30? Like, why am I not getting 10, 20, 30? Or why am I not getting 20, 30, 40? Can someone explain what 1:3 means? Yeah. Exactly. And the reason it's not giving you the number 40 is because it's not going to include. So the first element is inclusive and the last element is not inclusive. So that's just a rule of thumb, and obviously being 0 indexed. Any questions so far? Great. Here are some more really cool things you can do with NumPy. NP.square root takes a square root. You can also do like a square root of an entire array. As you can see over here, the thing that they've defined in here is a list. You can even, this is just a normal list, you can even make this an NP array and then say .me. I'll show an example. But yeah, it's really cool. It's a thing, it's kind of similar to import math, where you can just like do math operations, but NumPy does it a little bit more precisely. So you'll notice that when you take the mean of like very large things with NumPy, you'll get a different value than you would with math. So that boils down to essentially like how it's storing the data. NumPy stores it as, I think, float 128, and math probably still stores it as float 64s, which just means NumPy is storing more of like the decimals. But yeah, how does that feel? Yeah.
I didn't get that, Joel. You said NumPy storing in more decimals.
Okay, so in the beginning, we talked about like different data types. And we learned about int, floats, like lists, dictionaries, all of that. Each value is going to be either an int or a float. And you'll notice that when we were doing it in the terminal, NumPy was NumPy, oh, actually, this is because I'm dividing. But it kind of gave, so like when it's like a decimal point is after, that means it's a float. And whenever you're putting in floats in like the number of decimal points, like obviously like if you have like a repeating decimal, it's going to be stored a certain amount. NumPy stores more of the repeating decimal. So 64 bits versus 120. This is like super semantics, but that I'm just explaining how NumPy is more accurate when you're taking like the mean and median, or not the median, but mean. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Now we're gonna do a demo. Last week we did get to start off with Jupyter, but I'm going to kind of give like a another intro on how to open your notebook so we're all on the same page. So first thing we're gonna do is exit. I want you guys to somehow open up your Anaconda terminal. So for me, I just have to do Conda. I'm gonna do Anaconda. Yeah, your Anaconda prompt. This is one way to do it. There's a lot of ways to do this, but I'm going to show you guys one way. If it ever loads. Cool. So you'll get something like this. And then you're going to type GUPYTERNOTBOK with 2 O's. Like that. And hit enter. And you'll get a message like this. And it will open the homepage for Jupyter Notebook. Did that work for everyone? Cool. This is kind of random, but at one point I used Jupyter so much that I went to the Jupyter pizza place in downtown, and I was like, why are they spelling Jupyter wrong? Like, I was so confused. But like, if anybody's wondering, like, Jupyter is actually like, okay, so you see PY stands for Python, and like JU stands for something else, and I'm sure TE R is probably R, and TE probably stands for something. So that's kind of what's happening over here. They didn't just spell Jupyter wrong for the fun of it, for the sake of it. But yeah, now you guys are gonna see like your entire desktop over here. Go ahead and find wherever you stored your Python decal folder. I have one like right over here. This is just my demo folder, but everyone's looks different. Let me know if you're having a hard time finding your folder. I'll like pause here. Sorry? Yeah. And if you're having trouble with this command, also feel free to raise your hand. There's like other ways to do it. Is everything good over there?
You can also go. If you're in your.
Cool. Once you get here, the way how you do it, so once you enter your decal folder, you can just go to new and then press Python 3, kernel, whatever, and then you'll get a notebook. Yay! And go ahead and label it whatever. I'm gonna name it NumPy demo 2 because, or 1 because I have another one, but you can just name it NumPy demo. And can someone tell me what the first line of code that I'm gonna put in here is gonna be? Yeah, import NumPy. Oh, I'm gonna zoom. NumPy as NP. Raise your hand if you ran this. Oh, you can run it by hitting Shift Enter, or you can just press this button. But raise your hand if you're not able to run this command. I mean, not command, this line of code. Okay, now we can all play with NumPy. So I'm going to give you guys some time to do this on your own. I'll walk around, so you feel free to talk to me. Let's spend like, I don't know. Let's do this until 4:10. But yeah, please don't pull up ChatGPT. Just like spend time and think about it, and I'll be walking around. Yeah. What's your question? Oh, yeah, we can do that. Okay, cool. Talk to you guys in 4:10. That's your hint. Okay, I'm going to explain how to do it. So, can anyone tell me how to do it the for loop way? What's the first thing that I type in when I'm writing a for loop? Yeah.
For I and
And the reason that it's 1 to 101 is again because in the range formula, in the range function, the first argument is where I'm starting, and the second argument is where I'm ending exclusive. So it's going to be tell 100 and it's not going to include 101. Cool. Don't forget the colon. This is where you type tab, but my Jupyter notebook is being weird, so I'm going to space 4 times. But what's next?
sum equals sum plus I, or yeah.
What equals something. Okay, so this is fine. As you can see, sum is green. Can anyone tell me why it's green, whereas I is like black?
Because we haven't defined it yet, or like zeroed it out.
That's true that we haven't done that, but it's green for another reason. Yeah. So close. Yes, there's a function in NumPy that is sum, and there's also, wait, I think it is just, wait, oh no. Why did I do that? Let me not be a mess right now. So sum is a keyword in Python. There's also np.sum, and there is just sum. So as you can see over here, okay guys, my Jupyter notebook here. Okay, so this is just function sum, but when I do np.sum, it will show me that it's numpy.sum. So yes, you're right that NumPy has one, but it's only activated when I do np.sum. When I just do sum, it will activate Python's library for sum. And you typically, it's good practice. Python lets you get away with it, but it's good practice to not use keywords as variable names. So instead of sum, I'm just gonna say sum1, just so it's like chill. Let me just go down. Cool. Did this work for you?
We also gotta initialize it
Okay. Where do I initialize it?
right above the board.
Good. So let's see what happens when I run this. Great. It says someone does not define, so you were right. We would need to initialize it. What am I initializing it to?
0.
Good. So let's see what my someone. Oh. So that's what's happening when I do it this way. Can anyone tell me what's going on? Wait. Yeah. Did you mean for me to do this?
I had it without the plus equals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait. Okay, wait. Yeah. So basically, plus equals is the equivalent of saying this. So plus equals, this is a good learning curve. Sum 1 plus equals I is the same thing as saying sum 1 plus, oh, sum 1 equals sum 1. It's just shorthand. This is a shorthand way of doing this. So let's do it like that. And yeah, I can also do it again with the shorthand way, and then I'll get the same answer. Any questions so far? Did anyone do it a different way? Okay, cool. Let's do it the NumPy way. What's the first thing I do when I'm doing it the NumPy way? Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do when I'm doing it the NumPy way is I'm going to define a NumPy array. So I'm just going to say NPR, or I can just say R. I don't know. And how do I define? Oh, actually, this is just like a question in general, but how do I define a NumPy array?
Array.
Correct. So if I wanted to define an empty NP array, I can do it like this. And if I wanted to, I could go and write 1, 2, 3, and write all that. But NumPy has something that does it for me. There is this function called numpy.arange, and I can just put, I think 100. Let's see what happens. Okay, cool. So with numpy arange, when I put in 100, it's the same thing as like the range function, where it'll give me the first 100 numbers with 0 as my starting point. But obviously here I want it to be 1 to 100. So how am I going to change this? What's the first thing that I should write? What's the first value I want?
1.
Correct. And should I leave it as 100 or actually, let's just see what happens when I do 100. So I'm still missing my 100th value. How do I get my 100th value? 101. If it lets me do it. Cool. So now I have my range from 1 to 100, and I can just do r.sum, and I can do it just like that. So it's like literally 2 lines of code. I don't have to do like all this complicated addition. NumPy array just is better. Okay. So there's 13 minutes left of class. You can feel free to like ask me any questions, but other than that, we're done. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday with more stuff. Goodbye. I'll be here if you have any questions.
Normally, I don't
And
Wednesdays, but I have I'm a Catholic, we have and I have obligations when there's any other service, but there's 8 a.m. service. Okay, I guess go to 8 a.m.
Right, because I was saying like,
So yeah, maybe around. That's like Catholic. It's really funny. My little sister's going to have to do the pressing for like everybody else in the messages here. I think my mom and my dad can't make it to any sort of out of my family. So I want to Catholic to do this. Yeah, and they have like a happening for the Catholic, right? Yeah, you're basically somebody. I never thought about how weird it was. I had to do it for 1 year because she like, oh, you are really uncomfortably. You have to do it the moment for the cat. It's so it's really interesting. She's very like you wouldn't expect her to be. Somehow like Like,
Catholicism as a whole is still surprisingly popular, like, in the 21st century, I would say it would be probably the most popular religion now, but Catholicism is still going strong.
and we're relatively strong in our beliefs, it's just what they told. And really just that. Now, one thing I just, I was pretty, I would say, in every political forces, out of every religion. So it's sort of, if you people actually read the text, we're one of the most religious. The base of it is don't be an ass. Don't feel you're good. We don't have to like not even for like Jewish people. We're not we don't have to do them being the Jewish people are not allowed to have exactly. Now my old choir, really funny. He's Jewish. He doesn't believe in practice, but he's ethnically Jewish / like and again 3 Jewish rules. But the one that a lot of people know is the 4th one, but they also cannot have shellfish. And yes, meat with cheese is also a no. And one of his favorite meals is the cold camarones mumia. He actually doesn't know the name for it, but it's basically mummy shrimp. What you would call them, they're like directly family, but essentially they are bacon wrapped bread stuff with cheese. They are 3 Jewish created in one shot, and that was one of his favorites. He said he can picture his like family sitting at it. Like compared to like so many other religions, but much more like